Hello and a very warm welcome to my very first motovlog. And yes, I basically went straight for the creme de la creme and gave myself a bit of a challenge right off the bat, because the BMW M1000XR is by far the biggest, most massive motorcycle I've ever had the chance to ride. But hey, you grow with your challenges, and this is definitely a bike where growing quite literally physically doesn't hurt. All right, let's hop on. As you can see, yep, Kalimoto is running. If you want to follow the route later, we've got not just this one here, but several rides recorded. So let's head off. Right, the first hurdle is already here. Getting down from these parking spots, because most of the time here in Barcelona, the parking spaces are at a completely different height than the road itself. And with a motorcycle that you really don't want to tip over, that's always a bit of a situation. And that brings me to my first point. I have to say that, oh, hello there. Yeah, I've definitely fallen for the BMW, but I also have to say, especially for me personally, those 35,000 or 38,000 in the fully equipped version, like the one we're riding here, are just an insane amount of money. And I always keep that in the back of my mind. It's something that doesn't really let go of me. So yeah, there's this kind of underlying respect or caution I carry with me. I'm also just not someone who rides super fast in general. And with this one, I hold back even more. So yeah, we've now got 301 horsepower at 12,750 RPM. That's a lot of power, and you really feel it. The four-cylinder engine runs super smooth. There are really no issues at all. Gear shifting is battery soft, gearbox and engine all top notch. It's just an incredible amount of fun, and it really pulls like crazy. Of course, here in these twisty roads, it's hard to really test that. But yeah, it's seriously good. I always say, as soon as you're rolling, everything's fine. I don't even worry about it anymore. I feel like I'm on rails. All right, let's turn around a bit here, because down there the road is still a bit wet. As you can see, once you're rolling, even turning around is no issue. Like I said, once it's rolling, it's no problem at all. But when it comes to stopping at a traffic light or pulling into a raised parking spot or rolling across a little ditch into a parking area, that's when, if I can say it like that, my butt cheeks clench a little. 201 horsepower, so really the full package, loads and loads of power, and this pure four-cylinder engine that runs super smooth but accelerates like crazy. Even at low revs, there's a lot going on. You don't have to worry about getting out of a slow corner quick enough. But of course, the highlight is once you hit the highway, you can just let it rip and the thing takes off. Honestly, it's an experience that I really enjoyed. Overall, the XR, it's just, hello again, that's how the XR rides much easier than I would have ever thought. I looked at it and my eyes went wide. I thought, you guys must be crazy giving me this thing, but for 38,000 euros, the way we've got it set up here. But in the end, it leans into corners so easily. I think I've already said this, but it really does feel like riding on rails. And the stability is unbeatable. I think this is honestly one of the most stable motorcycles I've ever had the chance to test, and that gives me such a great feeling. I really sit in the bike, which I personally love. It gives me the feeling, okay, this sounds a little cheesy, but it feels like you become one with the bike. You feel like you have even more control, especially on twisty roads. I really love that sensation of feeling everything happening underneath me. And together with the sportier tires here, it all just adds up to being a blast. You've got grip and you don't feel like the rear is going to slip out just because it's a bit damp, which it often is here in the shade. As for the suspension, you can easily adjust compression and rebound damping electronically through the system. Preload, you still have to adjust using a hydraulic handwheel, but that's super easy to access. There we go. And yeah, of course, I sometimes feel, and because I'm still fairly new to the big open class of motorcycle, that a machine like this is kind of overkill for me, both in terms of physical size and the sheer power it has. So from my current level of experience, I'd probably say I'm not doing it full justice, and that does make me feel a little bad. I mean, it's a ton of fun and I feel pretty confident. If I had the money right now, I honestly don't know if I'd go out and buy a bike like this. Because there's always that thought, it's fine as long as you're rolling. But once you have to stop, or you're dealing with uneven terrain or a little bump or dip heading into a parking space, that's when my heart just sinks into my boots. Because I think if I slip even just a little bit with one foot, I can't hold the weight, I can't get it back up. And yeah, that's kind of a shame. But maybe there are women and men out there who'd say, that's no issue for me. That wouldn't be a reason not to buy the bike. And I totally get that. Like, I'm sure there are ways to work around it. But yeah, for me, it's just that stress factor, you know. It kind of takes away a bit of the lightness that motorcycling should bring. So yeah, it's a shame. I think if I had a few more muscles in my arms and were a bit taller, I'm 1.76 m, by the way, then I'd be a lot more relaxed about it. As you can see, it's really easy. You're super stable in the corners. You can lean in smoothly, and the weight is totally misleading. The look is misleading too. The bike is so agile. Now let's test the sound a bit. Personally, I absolutely love it. Yeah, I really, really like it. It definitely has character. It's the kind of bike that makes people turn their heads on, and I've noticed that myself. When I open it up a bit, people do take notice and enjoy the sound. And it's just a joy when you're riding too. The only thing I've noticed, and apart from my own body limitations and the bike's weight, the one thing you could maybe criticize is the vibration in the handlebars and foot pegs when you're on the highway. I'd say from around 120, 130 kilometers per hour. Yeah, but like I said, from 120 to 130 kilometers per hour, the handlebars and foot pegs start to vibrate in a way that, for me at least, makes my hands tingle like crazy. Maybe it's just a personal sensitivity. Maybe everyone feels that differently. But for me, it got to the point where I had to use the cruise control just to be able to take my hands off the bars for a bit, which isn't ideal. The mirrors also start vibrating more at that speed, which is normal. Not much you can do about that at higher speeds. But yeah, the vibration in the bars and pegs really made my limbs go numb, and that's just kind of annoying. In general, I have to say Barcelona, or rather the surrounding area, it's just so incredibly beautiful. We're a few kilometers outside of the city now. And yeah, it was an absolute joy to be here and be able to test this out. Yeah, I'd say it's a super harmonious, perfectly rounded motorcycle with a very approachable engine. And even in terms of weight while riding, it's much more manageable than you'd think just by looking at it. It's like, whoa, what a ship. But looking far ahead into the future, if I ever do have the money, I'd still say, regardless of height or strength, I just know I wouldn't be able to get this thing upright again on my own if it ever tipped. Even with a second person, I don't think we'd get it back up easily. And if something does happen when it tips over, it's going to be really expensive. So yeah, that's kind of a bummer. But I think if you're tall and strong, this is definitely a wonderful option.